This is Max from Sacramento, and you are listening to Decal with the E.I.T.H.R podcast.
You're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with your host, Decal.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? It is Decal here hosting the E.I.T.H.R podcast on this Meetup Monday Meetup here from the GNS HQ in Northern California. Today is usually the day where I go out into the road, but today's things happen when I wasn't able to go to the town that was able to give me the most listenership last week, which happened to be San Jose, California. So, much love to the South Bay. Appreciate the 408 and you guys tuning in, subscribing to the Spreaker app, listening to us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podchasers, Podcasters, Google Podcast, wherever you guys are listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast. I just want to say thank you very much. To those who are new, welcome. The elephant in the room is the acronym. That's what this podcast stands for. We try to have conversations and topics that are, lack of a better term, hot buttons for some people, but they're very difficult to discuss with others because, well, some people just have a short focus, short attention span on what they believe to be right. So we try to look at things, even if you don't necessarily agree, you'll at least be more informed at the end of the episode on the topics that we talk about. One of my promos for this podcast is, you ever see a social media post, like on Facebook, for example, and there's hundreds of comments on that particular post, and you go through the post and you realize that everyone is having these debates, these conversations, these interactions on something that has nothing to do with what the article was actually about. They just read the heading and came up what they thought it might be speaking about based on what they think it is. And they just have these arguments based on uninformed opinions and emotional reactions to what they... Yeah, where are the people who actually read the motherfucking article? So that's what this podcast is going to do. So that is the MO behind the E.I.T.H.R here. So you can follow us on social media, which is greatly appreciated. On Instagram and Twitter, the handle is going to be the same. It's E.I.T.H.R. You can also follow us on GNSETV.com, which is our TV station, our streaming channel. Right now is live. It's a free subscription. Doesn't cost anything but a couple of seconds to fill out a profile. And you can watch the videos on demand that we have there. You can also watch what's streaming, what's live right now, what's on there. Greatly appreciated. We're working with SDH Entertainment, and they have a stage play that they just did last week. So hopefully we'll be able to get that content up. They're based out of Baltimore, Maryland. So hopefully we'll be able to get that stage play and upload that to our channel. You can go ahead and watch that because it was fire. We also do inspirational, motivational segment on this podcast. We also give a shout out on this podcast. And so what we're going to do is we're going to give a shout out right now to, I was listening to the radio on the way to the office. And there is a cheer squad that might give some inspiration to people out there, right? And they're called the Sun City Palms, and they're based out of Arizona. And the ages for these cheerleaders is between 55 to 90 years old. And I believe it's 30 members. The 30 deep. Sun City Palms, boy. And their motto is they aspire to inspire before we expire. They aspire to inspire before we expire. And I think that's pretty dope. So I want to give those extended college girls some credit on the E.I.T.H.R podcast here from Northern California all the way out to Sun City. So I'm guessing Phoenix, maybe Scottsdale. I don't know exactly what city it is, but I know it's in the state of Arizona. So I just want to give a shout out to them, give credit to them. And for motivational, inspirational, I mean, to piggyback on that, man, the best time to start is now, right? You're never too young to enjoy yourself and to inspire others. So keep that in mind, man. We're going to get started on the topics that we have at hand here. New Mexico Police Department. Oh, boy. Sacramento Kings. Oh, boy. It's the E.I.T.H.R podcast with D-Cal. We'll be right back.
Hey, this your girl Key, and I'm calling from Compton, and you listening to E.I.T.H.R podcast with D-Cal.
So, before we get into the heavy topic that I want to talk about, and again, for those who are new to the podcast or who have just been maybe caught the last couple of episodes or the episode of this platform, we talk about things, like I said in the last segment, where it's topics. We don't come from an argumentative perspective. We try to both sides. To a fault, anyone who knows me in a personal, they would tell you this. I devil's advocate the fuck out of everything. I try to look at it from a multitude of angles, bro, because sometimes the low-hanging fruit is so easy for people to jump at. And that could not even be the reason, but it can be used as a distraction. So I try to dissect everything and get to the core of it. And I can tell you right now, man, a lot of times, especially on social media, I've said this before, people rather be entertained than educated. They just, in many cases, that's the case. So what we do, we try to educate in an entertaining way, but at the same time, I feel you can have all that fun someplace else. You know, I try to use the fun to help digest the topics, but I don't want the fun to be the distraction from the point. So I want to educate as best I can, or at least inform people best way I can in certain things. So that way, you know, like I said, man, even if you don't agree with it, at least you understand what it is. And so that's my purpose of this podcast. So it's informative as well as entertaining and educational. That's the premise of it. So I kind of just want to redo that picture again for people who are new to the podcast and they don't understand really, why is this motherfucker so serious? It's not that I'm serious, it's just I take serious issues and I address them. And I try to, like I said, do it in a fun way. So the first thing I want to do is acknowledge tonight is game 2 of this, what was the semi-conference between the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors. And they're going to be playing at G1C, Golden One Center, in downtown Sacramento. So the first game was Saturday. And the Sacramento Kings beat the defending champions Golden State Warriors, was it 126 and 123. That wasn't the story. The story is, many people already know, Bay Area legend E.I.T.H.R got into a verbal altercation with another fan, and he was escorted out. According to him, excuse me, he was being heckled majority of the game, and he happened to wait until around the fourth quarter. The man had enough. I mean, listen, each quarter in an NBA game is 12 minutes. Imagine being heckled for over 30 minutes straight, not including halftime, which is another 15 to 20 minutes, give or take. And, as a human being, you're only going to take so much. So he turned around. He said it was in a non-disrespectful, but yet a very firm manner. He tried to put them in their place and, no pun intended, tell them where to go. Well, unfortunately, the Sacramento Kings told E.I.T.H.R where to go because he was escorted out. Now, according to him, and you can go online and read what was stated that he said, but I feel it's a bad look because according to him, security saw a large black man having an aggressive conversation or an argument with this quote unquote white woman, and he is who they approached to escort out. Not understanding he wasn't the antagonist. And I feel, listen, like I said, low-hanging fruit. It's so easy for people to pull the race card, right? But on my last episode, I believe, is where I said, listen, whenever you have situations like that, man, you have to understand the sources and are they credible? Are you getting the information from someone that you believe to be telling the truth because they have a history of being legit? Or is it a history of people who, are they the boy who cry wolf? Right? Are they full of drama? Are they somebody who always is in the middle of something and is always the victim? So you kind of got to know your environment. Is this person credible or not? And my man has been in the music business since the late 80s. I've listened to him early mid-90s. I've never, in my experience, ever seen dude pull a card that he wasn't dealt. So I've never seen him play a victim role in anything. Anyone who has, please correct me on this. But I've never seen it, heard it, known about it. So for them to immediately go to him, and I don't know, but something about the video that I saw, you could tell his reaction was he was trying to plead his case, but his case wasn't getting heard. And you could tell his frustration. He's there with his wife. It's the playoffs. It is completely humiliating and embarrassing on his part. I can imagine. And you're being provoked. Now, somebody in the comment thread mentioned how the people who did this were also in the wine business. So it kind of been some petty little bank take big bank type of thing, right? Who knows? But if you watch the video, man, old girl looked like I was talking to Delivering with a Purpose and Sarah, and she's like, that woman looked like she doesn't know shit about basketball. She looked like again, this is just speculation, right? She looked like somebody who doesn't know anything about sports, right? It's kind of just there because it's a basketball game. It's a playoff. First game in 17 seasons. Going against the Warriors, who happen to be 90 miles down the road. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, right? And just there because it's the thing to be. Doesn't know what's going on, right? Someone said it was father-daughter. Someone said it was husband-wife. Who knows? But you can honestly tell from optics. And again, maybe I'm biased because I'm a fan of dude. I've known him way longer. I've known of him way longer than I've known of her. It looked like it was somebody who was trying to get a rise out of somebody. Got the rise they were looking for. Got the outcome they were looking for. And became celebratory because of it. I hope the organization does something to fix that. Some sort of one way or another. Because if anyone has ever been provoked to a point where you just couldn't take it anymore and you react and you still lose, even though you done everything you could to be the mature, bigger person in the situation, man, that's a bad look. So tonight is game 2. I'm interested to see how this folds out, how this unfolds. Is E.I.T.H.R going to be at the game tonight in Sacramento? Is he not going to be there? What's the situation? How's the teams going to react? Because my man is kind of like a front runner fan face of the Golden State Warriors. And most Bay Area teams, mainly San Francisco team, because he's a San Francisco fan. Let's keep it 100. He loves the Bay Area, but he's a San Francisco fan. He's always wanted to play for the Giants. He's a diehard Niners fan. He supports the Raiders when they were in Oakland. But he's Frisco. Everything's Frisco with 40. And you got to respect that. He's a diehard fan. So I'm wondering how this is going to turn. How it's going to turn out. If the organization is going to, if the teams are going to, I'll tell you right now, his Earl selection, his wine that he has, I guarantee you that stock went up. And he was just at Total Wines doing bottle signatures, doing wine signings or bottle signings the day 2. So I'm wondering how that's going to turn out. That's going to be interesting, I think. So along with that, I want to get into this. Listen, I've been in Sacramento for 20 years. And I remember when the Sacramento Kings were ascending to become what this city still relishes and holds on to. I remember when Chris Webber came from Washington. They were known as the Washington Bullets back then, before they changed their name to the Wizards. And he came to Sacramento. Initially, he didn't want to be here, but he was here. And I remember Jason Williams, aka White Chocolate. I remember when Nick Anderson played, when you had, Vlade Divac and Peja Stojakovic and Scott Pollard. I remember when he got drafted out of Kansas. I remember when Jacques Vaughn. Listen, I remember when the team became what this city still remembers. I remember that game 6 when Vlade kicked the ball out, which he was supposed to do. It just happened to go to Robert Horry. I remember Weber having the oh shit look on his face when he tried to block the shot. I remember that. I remembered Rick Fox and Doug Christie. I remember that scuffle on the floor and in the tunnel. Shout out to Miss Christie. I remember that. And then 16 years, well, a few years later when it started to fall off, it's been a problem. Purgatory. NBA purgatory. But now that they have this season of 48 wins and a playoff appearance, Sacramento Kings fans, and usually fans of a one-trick pony city, where you only have one team, y'all can get a little bit beside yourself. is a difference, man, between enjoying the moment and trash talking and you having team pride and wanting to show your support. And I get that. But there's also a lane that you should stay in and a line you should not cross. Listen, the Sacramento Kings, peep this out. The Sacramento Kings have been atrociously bad majority of the existence of Facebook. Facebook came out in 2004. The Kings started to fall off in 05, 06. So right when Facebook started to pick up, the Kings dropped off. And this whole time, for lack of better terms, not a very good team. So you got 14, 15, 16 years of being made fun of, pent up. You have these NBA trash talk groups worth of venom being spewed at the purple and black. And all that rage is being taken out from a game 1 victory. I get it. But if you're going to be a fool, be a fool. Just know when to act a fool and who to act a fool with. That was a famous line from E.I.T.H.R, ironically. So you can swell yourselves up with pride and be, proud of your team. I'm with that. But don't become what you hate. Don't become that fan base that you despise so much. Because right now you kind of sound, the way the narrative is being painted about Kings fans, you're being portrayed very similarly the way the world sees Cowboy fans. Duh. You didn't like that, did you? Right. There's a mirror. See yourself. So I get it. Like I said, I'm a Warriors fan, man. I'm a Warriors fan. I like the Kings because I lived out here. So, I understand it's not where you're from, it's where you at. But I'm a Bay boy through and through. So it's one of those scenarios where I like the team, I support the team because I live here. But if I had to pick and choose, I'm going to tell you right now on the E.I.T.H.R podcast here, if y'all make it to 6 games, you get extra credit in my book. Because I don't think it's going to make it past 5. You get a gentleman's sweep. It's about to happen. And I want to see how tough the Kings fans are after that. Now, I will give y'all some credit. Your team is nice. Would I be surprised if the Kings beat the Warriors in this series? Nope, I would not be surprised. Do I expect the Kings to beat the Warriors in this series? No, I don't expect that. But I wouldn't be surprised because them boys can ball. But as a fan base, man, you got to understand, bro, you have to be cautious and careful with how you carry yourself because what can take you a second to get into can take you a lifetime to get out of, right? And what you don't want to do is you don't want to be that fan that crosses that line and gets into a situation. It's sports, bro. It's sports, right? This is the kind of thing that should draw people together. This is the kind of thing where we all can laugh and enjoy, right? Your 2 teams in Northern California, you're 90 miles away from one another. I mean, hell, man, enjoy it. Go to the bar, have a drink, get something to eat. Cool. As a Raider fan, I'm going to tell you right now, we have the reputation of being a fan base that may possibly go over the line or two every now and then. Sure. As a Raider fan, yeah, we have that reputation. But at the tailgate, it's love. Now, between start and finish, we're rivals. But I can tell you right now, as being to Raider games at the Oakland Coliseum, you rarely ever saw what is portrayed. Did skirmishes break out? Of course. Of course they did. It's football. It's alcohol. It's testosterone. It's emotion. Yes, I get that. It's a gladiator sport, so you kind of have gladiator vibes. But in the NBA, it's basketball, bro. It's football is the same. It's a sport. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't get to the point. Listen, if you spent that kind of money to get those kind of seats, why are you heckling somebody? That's the kind of point where I feel that Sarah did have a point where this person didn't know shit about sports. Because if you spend that kind of money to get that close to the seat, to the floor, are you really trying to piss people off? Like, either you don't know how to handle your alcohol, or the people around you are just as a bad influence to encourage that type of thing. And if that was father-daughter, why did y'all even let that happen? That's just a bad look, man. That's just a bad look, right? But again, I understand the situation to a degree. Emotions get the best of everybody. And again, you want to pump your chest. You want to be prideful. Your team is here. Good. Enjoy that moment. But you guys do seem like the socially awkward kid that has no friend. In the moment you go to school and be around other children, you don't really know how to act because you never had friends before, right? You never been in this environment before, so you don't know how to conduct yourself. So you act like a horse's ass, and then you want to know why people don't want to play with you, right? I get it. And it feels like in today's era, more so than before, people do and say certain things because they want to get shock value. They want that attention. They want those 4 to 9 seconds, those 12 seconds on social media of fame, because they think that's what's going to get them a fly-by-night celebrity of some sort. I don't know. I'm not the kind of person that wants that kind of attention, so maybe that's the reason why it's hard for me to kind of justify that kind of thing and laugh at it, because that's not my MO. But again, man, enjoy yourselves. Shit, you made it to the playoffs. Just be cool, because guess what? Game 3, you got to go to San Francisco. And trust me, the Bay doesn't forget. We don't forget shit, man. Honestly. And I would expect for Sacramento, I'll put it this way. Sacramento King fans, you should now, in your brain, expect to receive the treatment you would give if someone disrespected you like that. So at this point moving forward, it's sports, bro. It's sports. Because we live in a world where everybody's trying to one-up everybody. You make it not fun to be there. And that's not a good thing for business. And that's not a good look for your organization. I know it's one situation there. But there was another article of Warrior fans saying that they were being chased and hounded and heckled after the game. Now, I will say this. Some motherfuckers just need to get thicker skin. Some people, listen, if you can't take the heat, keep your ass out the kitchen. Some people, yes. We are in a very sensitive world. So they might have just got ragged a little bit and kind of just felt a certain type of way because they expected the victory. But because it didn't go that way, they had to tuck their tail between their legs, put their head down, and walk to their Uber so they can go home. Sure, that's a possibility as well. And listen, I understand once the Warriors left Oakland to go to San Francisco, the fan base did change a little bit. It did change a little bit. So I do understand to a degree, excuse me, the sensitivity people believe that the Warrior fans have now. I get that. 100% I get that. I do. But there's a flip side to that coin. Living out here long enough, man, I can tell you, sometimes when you guys get a little bit beside yourself and get too big for your britches, your ass does show. And I think that's because Sac really ain't got much to be proud of in the sports world. So they kind of just take in anything they can get. The problem is they're not used to being here for damn near 2 decades. I think it'll get better. But again, you're that socially awkward kid that don't have any friends. You need to learn how to play well with others before your asses ain't invited back no more. Because just remember this, and I'm going to move on from this topic. Wouldn't this be a damn shame if this is the only game you win in this series? I wonder how much crow y'all would have to eat after that.
My man.
Crush all the struggles and pressures that get in your way, big or small, minor or major. We all are fighting demons that others do not know about. But it's how you handle it that makes it look easy. Shop at Mile.today. Again, Mile, MILE.today. Mile.today.
All right, it's D-Count. We're back at the E.I.T.H.R podcast. For the guys who are tuning in a little bit late, you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter or Instagram at TheEITHR. You can also follow us on GNSETV.com, which is our TV/streaming service. It is a free subscription. Go ahead and check that out. Greatly appreciate it. Your boy's trying to get sponsors to get to the TV station so that way we can grow this TGNS Inc. for TikTok as well as YouTube. The GNS Inc. That's the parent company of everything. It's tax day. So for those of y'all who are late, you got till midnight. And I want to give a shout out to the stripper for helping me out with my taxes. I hate this part of the year, but she's used to maneuvering money, if you know what I'm talking about. So that's that. Now, the thing I want to talk about here, this is an unfortunate situation that happened in New Mexico last week. You can see the video yourself on our Twitter at the E.I.T.H.R, TheEITHR. But there was a situation where law enforcement were approaching a house, and basically as they were going to the house to knock on the door, video cam was released, and you can clearly hear that the police weren't sure if they were even at the right address or not. And it turned out that the house that they were supposed to be at was literally across the street from where they were. And so I'm just going to read this part right here from the article that's on CBS News. But again, you can see the video if you choose to on our Twitter at TheEITHR. Authorities in northwestern New Mexico on Friday released body camera footage of police officers opening fire and killing a homeowner after they showed up at the wrong address in response to domestic violence call. The video, released by the Farmington Police Department just over a week after the April 5th nighttime shooting, showed officers arriving at the home. They walked up to the front door, past the address that was posted on the home and illuminated by exterior light, knocked on the door, and announced themselves. While knocking twice more, the officers can be heard asking a dispatcher to confirm the address and to tell the caller to come to the door. The dispatcher states the address of the home across the street. So in this video, you literally hear them say 5305 or something of that nature on the video. And you see the address is clearly not the address that they are looking at. So at that point, why didn't they just walk away? I don't know. So here comes the homeowner, clearly with a gun in his hand. Now, from what I remember from the video, from what I seen for the video, the gun wasn't pointed at officers. It was. You can see it. Open fire, right then and there. And then once you see the body fall, seconds later you hear a woman screaming, which happens to be his wife. She's in the house with their 3 kids. All she knows is her husband gets up to go check to see who the hell. Shots fired. He drops. She just saw her husband potentially be murdered. She opens fire, not knowing who it is outside. They return fire. She wasn't struck. She wasn't hurt. And then you hear sirens in the background. So later on in the article, it states that once everyone realized who was who and what was what, officers escort her while another officer is yelling to put her in handcuffs. While this is going on, the eldest child is on the phone with the police, telling them there's a loud bang, there's shots being fired, my dad's been hurt. I'm with him. It's ugly, bro. Man, listen. Clearly, you can play Monday morning quarterback after the situation, right? Anybody can fix the situation after they see the situation. And that's the unfortunate thing. Is any and everybody can sit back and say what they would have or what they would not have done after the fact. It's unfortunate. And I do completely understand how law enforcement can be in a situation. They see something, they react to it accordingly. In the moment, it's instinct, it's right there, split second, you don't know. I understand, I get that. I think the part that makes me personally as an individual, this is me, Decal, E.I.T.H.R podcast, Northern California, right? I just feel if you see a person wouldn't the first, again, I got friends who are law enforcement. I'm going to ask them that situation myself so I can get a cop's perspective. But I would clearly think, though, if you have a situation like that, wouldn't you just, first thing is, gun, drop it, lower your weapon, drop your weapon, put your gun down. Wouldn't you yell a command first? Especially if you're at the wrong house. I mean, clearly hear the police officers confused at the property address. So they realize they're at the wrong address. First and foremost, that's a fumble. So you have a person coming out. The article says the police announced themselves. That's fine. But they knocked twice after the initial. So they knocked a total of 3 times. That usually translates to when you knocked the first time, they didn't hear you or was confused on what the hell was going on. So when you gave the police, they don't know what's going on. Now, is it clear that they announced themselves police the second time and or the third time or just the first time? It doesn't say. It just says they announced. But let's go ahead and give them benefit of the doubt and say they announced the first 2 times and not the third. Okay. In an open carry state where you have the right to, again, each state law is different. The gun wasn't pointed at the officers from what I could tell in the video. I know that might make a difference for some people, but you got to understand, if you have the right to carry, you should have the right to carry. Especially if it was not used in a way that you felt in danger. And there was no command to drop the weapon. At least there should be like levels of escalation, right? So, Chief of Police realized they fumbled. They realized they fumbled the bag on this. And a woman lost her husband. Kids lost their father for doing what any person would do if you have someone banging on your door at X amount of time in the morning. You can see the video, you can come up with the conclusion on your own, but from the way I see it, the way I saw it, the way I heard it when I watched it, I mean, you clearly made the mistake, man, and this guy doesn't know what the hell is going on. Police, lower your weapon. Okay. And go from there. I mean, it was a clerical error on their fault. And somebody lost their life. Right? Now, it's a completely different conversation because, again, with the handgun, knock on my motherfucking door, and I can't say I would, I can't say I wouldn't. I don't know what I would do in that situation. I'm not in it. But I don't think that is a place where that was called for. I'll tell you that right now, from where I'm sitting, from where I'm looking, from where I'm viewing. You got the wrong address, bro. The wrong house. You could just easily, hey, police department, hey, sorry, we got the wrong address. Done. Right? Hey, our bad. Sorry for disturbing you guys. We got the wrong house. Because now the people that you're supposed to be looking out to get, well, shit, now they got away. Right? It's I don't know, man. I don't know. No, one thing that really angers me personally, whenever there's situations like this, why are the officers put on paid administrative leave? Why? Why is it okay, I get it, but I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. You have a situation where this happens, where you have officers going up to the house, you have officers clearly seeing the address, you have officers clearly having a dialogue, a discussion out loud about, is this the right house? Is this the right address? Is this the right place? You clearly can hear the conversation between them and dispatch, verifying that this is not the right house. The right house is across the street. You clearly hear this. You see the person come to the house, you open the door with the gun. You clearly see no communication after that. You clearly hear shots. You clearly have a standoff with the wife. You clearly. But this is under investigation. They're on paid administrative leave, and an investigation is being conducted. Okay. But in a situation where someone shoplifts, you see them put the candy in the pocket, you see them walk out with the candy and no attempt to pay, there is no investigation. You saw them put the candy in the pocket. You saw them walk past the register. You saw them walk out the store. You clearly saw them shoplift. You've seen someone break into the vehicle. You've seen someone steal from the vehicle. You see someone come back to said vehicle, steal from the vehicle, drive off with the vehicle. You clearly saw a robbery. That person's not sitting at home till further investigation. You got their ass in theft. You caught their ass shoplifting. Why is it, and again, I would like for some of my friends in law enforcement, please, Twitter, E.I.T.H.R, Instagram, E.I.T.H.R, please explain, why is it when somebody can do a crime, it's an open and shut case, we clearly got him red-handed, we see the evidence is right in front of us, there's nothing else to say, plead guilty, get it over with. But when it comes to law enforcement, fatal shooting, paid leave, administrative, further investigation. Why? Why is that? How does that shit make sense? And I'm trying not to be sarcastic, because I'm not being sarcastic. I'm trying not to be inconsiderate. I'm being very considerate. I'm trying not to be... I'm being honest. How does that make sense? Explain. Because if that is the case, you are sending a message to the wrong type of people to become police officers. Unless that's somebody's MO to get those kind of cops in there. Garbage man taking out the garbage type of mindset. I don't believe police officers do that, but I do believe there's some cops who do. This is an unfortunate situation. How do you hold them accountable? Who should be held accountable? Who is responsible for this man losing his life? Do you feel it's his fault for coming out with the weapon, not knowing who the fuck was at his door? Do you blame the wife for opening fire for her husband being shot in a doorway? What would you do in this situation? Me personally, I can't say he's wrong, and I can't say I wouldn't have done the same thing. But unfortunately, I feel I would have got the same outcome. What say you guys? It's your boy D-Cal here to Eat the Podcast. Episode 99 is coming up soon in the near future. I appreciate you guys taking time to listen to us here. Also, just want to go ahead and put this out there. Be kind to one another. Right? Everybody's going through it. We just talked about a man losing his life. We just had a conversation about a fan base who hasn't won anything in a long time acting a fool. Right? There's too many good things out there for people to not pay any attention to. I want you guys to, just do right by one another as best as you humanly possibly can, right? I know one thing that I need to work on myself is be a little bit less sarcastic / judgy when it comes to people who don't have the same etiquette as I do, especially in public. I need to teach my face how to stop being so loud. That's what I need to do. That's exactly what I need to do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on that. All of us need to work on something, man. I just have this feeling there's a lot of shit going on in somebody's life right now, and you could be the person that makes somebody's day. Keep that in mind. It's your boy D.K.L. here with the E.I.T.H.R podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. I have a nice little something I'm working on for episode 100, but we got to get to episode 99 first. So if everything goes well, 100 is going to be coming this Friday, which is going to be our What Do You Mile? How do you mile? What's your mile? Make sure to check out Mile, MILE.today, GNSETV.com, Spreaker, the E.I.T.H.R podcast. You guys stay blessed. Hey everyone, this is D.K.L. of GNSETV. And I just wanted to share some words of encouragement to those of you guys watching the channel. In life, whenever you're pursuing your goal, you have to understand that there's two types of people you're going to associate with. Those are people that have a common past and people who have a common future. This is very important for you to realize because depending on which group of people you choose, that is the place either you will stay or in the direction in which you will go.